talk about the 90s. I'd love to go back in time and be outside and kind of hear what it sounded like as the team ran out and the crowd went nuts. I'm sure you could hear it all the way down the street.
We've had a lot of great talent here at Ewan. Some of them went on for further play. We can all remember Shayna DeCreamer, Allison Bailey, of course.
I had a really good team, a bunch of good kids there. One was Mike Ordzla. He was All-State. Dave Polkey, Brad Bessnan, this year's coach, was a starter.
And you can have that perfect combination of good players and teammates that have chemistry and a common goal and a coach you respect. That's when you can really see some magic happen.
It became a tradition when you were younger. You watched the older girls play and they always won. That's just what you did. And you wanted to be like that.
Who here has grandparents, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles that played basketball for you?
I have a whole ton of family that played here. My mom had a scoring record for 44 points in a game for a while.
I mean, most people that play ball have a parent that played or a grandparent or someone that has got them into it, so.
You take Kelsey Jillick, his dad was a good starter on my 92 team.
Our family's a pretty big basketball family. I mean, all the Borsets I know, they've all played basketball, so.
His dad was my starting center on my undefeated 95 team. Brandon Polkey, his dad, the assistant coach, was my starting center in 91.
Well, my dad with Mike Ordzla, they were pretty solid. I've watched a few of his games.
At one point, a friend of mine had taken all of the VHS tapes we used to have, and I'm pointing because they would sit over there and they'd patch Bop and Bob into their camera. So my son found them and was like, let's watch some of these games of Dad when he used to play. I'm like, go ahead. He still contends that he's like way better than me at everything, but he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Kids always ask him, did you dunk? Like, good dunk, but I didn't. It's like, no. We didn't have breakaway rims and it was like frowned upon.
I didn't play basketball till I was a freshman. I was anti-basketball. I was anti-basketball in a basketball school because I'm tall. So I get that question all the time, do you play basketball? I was like, hell no, not me. In 8th grade, they used to have the community schools Winter Olympics, and they didn't have enough kids, so one of my friends asked me, hey, you want to play basketball? Okay, I'll play. And I kind of got hooked.
'90, '91, '92, we had years again like the early '80s. That's when I had Mike Ordzla, Dave Polkey, the assistant coach now.
Mike Ordzla, he was, the star player. He got all the accolades. He was the big scorer and got all the attention. And the rest of us would wait till they double teamed him and then get what we could get.
Going back and playing against Dave Polkey and Mike Ordzla, and a 2,000 point score in his career, you're always going to get the top of his game, and they had a really good team that year. Shane Johnson and Shane Mulliner and Tony Micheletti, those guys, there isn't one team that we wanted to win more against, and we had a really good rivalry, so no matter when we played there, we knew it was going to be a great atmosphere.
We put 100 points on the scoreboard a few times. That doesn't happen anymore. You don't see that on a regular basis.
We won a lot of ball games. In '90, we lost in the districts. 3 of my starters had sprained ankles. They couldn't play in the district championship. One was Mike Ordzla. He had 2 sprained ankles. Shane Johnson had a sprained ankle, Shane Mulliner had a sprained ankle.
The Panthers clawed back to within 4 points in the final minute, but that was as close as they would get.
The next year we stayed healthy. We ran into North Dickinson in the regional championship. Well, you know Dave Polkey, he's about 6'7", but they had a kid named Lindemann.
And they had the 7-foot guy who went to play in the NBA, and I kind of gave up at halftime. I knew it was over.
And we played a poor first half, and second half we played our kind of basketball. We made it close, but we came home empty that year.
I remember that well. And I don't really dwell on it. Like, I haven't gone back and looked at yearbooks and done that sort of thing. So, yeah.
The Lakes backcourt pass is stolen by Jeremy Moylanen. Great save from press row to Brad Bessanen. He pulls up to nail the deuce. Bessanen had 13 while subbing for the injured Jeff Haudemacki, and ETC led by double digits the rest of the way.
I was brought up to varsity as a sophomore. We were a one-loss team that year with a good chance to win that regional, and we ended up losing Jeff Haudemacki to an ankle injury in the first game of the regionals. And kind of took the wind out of our sails, but we managed to win that game.
We won the regional without Jeff.
Detour will be the quarterfinal opponent. The Panthers and Red Raiders clash in Escanaba on Wednesday night.
But we couldn't beat Detour without him. We couldn't. And he'd have made a hell of a difference. 6'3", soft shot. The leading scorer in ETC history in boys here, I think. 40-some points in one game. You can't just lose people like that at the wrong time and continue.
Detour wins the quarterfinal by the score of 58-47.
Yeah, we had a pretty solid team, won the district in my junior year, kind of as the underdog, so that was a little bit different situation for us at that time, because we'd been, like always, one of the better teams. And we got our butts handed to us in the regional there when I was a junior, and then came back with a really awesome group for our senior year, and made a nice run to regional finals that year. So basketball experience-wise in high school, it was, well, couldn't have been a lot better, honestly, without a trip, beyond a quarterfinal or regional, but competitive all the time and so many good memories.
And then the basketball court in Ewan went up in the 80s, and it had 2 courts and it was full. You'd have to wait to get on to play.
The picnic table at the court was social media back when we were in high school.
That's where the social happened, and I think that's a big thing, that you just went and played. Boys, girls, didn't matter.
And there was always 10 people or more there, and there was just game after game, and there was more than games. There was flirting and that good stuff. Our marriage started there, so it's pretty significant for us. But it was the hangout for us at ETC, which we were getting some basketball in there, and then kind of everything just kind of revolved around the game.
Allie, she and Jackie Vesnin, somewhere along, they dribble up the street, all the way up to the court up there, practicing them just about every day all summer.
Yeah, Allie and I, our friendship, a lot of it revolved around basketball. We went to camps together. We played on the court in between our houses. It's right between our houses. Hers is on one side, mine was on the other.
Our younger sister is Allison Bailey Bottoms. She was up at the court every single night until 11:30. They finally had to implement when the light shut off, you had to go home because the neighbors just really didn't appreciate the pounding basketball for, midnight, 1 in the morning.
I loved basketball. That was my love from early on. That was where I had success early on. I loved the game. My 8th grade year, the varsity team was a little bit low on numbers, so there was myself, Carrie Heidemann, and Jackie Staff all were managers, and so oftentimes we would have to play. in 5-on-5 drills. That year was Shayna DeCramer's senior year, and I had to guard Shayna all year long in practice.
UNT Trail Creek is led by 5'9" senior Shayna DeCramer, who drives in and scores on the layup. She's a fine player.
Playing against Shayna, I mean, if anybody that's ever played against Shayna or played with Shayna, I mean, she is a tough cookie on the basketball court, and she did not take any mercy on an 8th grader. But I do feel like that really got me ready, actually, for the next year when I was on varsity as a freshman.
And I think that her freshman year, she sort of surprised everyone. They had a number of upperclassmen that were very good, and she just sort of snuck in, and they just weren't expecting her to come out and be the force inside that she was as a freshman.
Carrying it inside to Bailey, all alone, left-hand layup is up and in.
When Allison Bailey was a freshman, I got to see her first game here. I was keeping clock, and I went home and I told Steve, she's going to be the first one to score over 2,000 points. I said, she's amazing.
Tori Koski the drive, swat. Bailey said no way on that one.
So I remember having a successful season, and we weren't picked, I wouldn't say, in the top team in the UP or anything like that, but as these things tend to happen, we actually won regionals that year. We had a really great game, and the seniors had an amazing game.
Angie Kariainen answered the call in fine fashion. She had 5 threes and a game-high 18 points.
That was our night.
The Panthers will meet Gaylord St. Mary's in the state quarterfinals next Tuesday.
And ended up losing in quarterfinals.
So when we lost in the quarterfinals, we were like, oh my gosh, can't believe we lost. Well, then the next 3 years we won districts, and then we lost in the regional finals. And back then the girls played in the fall, so we had 3 really bad Thanksgivings because we played the night before Thanksgiving all those years.
So junior year, we did our 20-0 season. So we met that goal, and it was great. It was a great group. We all got along really well.
With Allison and her friends, Jackie Staff, Carrie Heidemann, the others that played on that team, they had been playing together so long that they were used to how they moved. They passed well, they worked together well.
In a game, you got to the point where you didn't have to say anything. You just look at each other and you'd be like, yeah. You knew what that other person was thinking and what you wanted to do. Maybe I'm exaggerating my old age, but I feel like maybe we lost 1 home game here.
We lost to Bessemer right here in the barn, and that was the first loss for any of us in the barn.
I do remember that game. When you said, what do you remember? Unfortunately, I remember that game. We lost to Bessemer here my senior year. I think it was by 1 or something.
But, on a high note, we got to meet Bessemer then in the district game. I think it was the semifinal game, and I think we beat them by about 30. So that was kind of nice revenge. My senior year, is when I broke the UP scoring record. So that was kind of a big deal at the time.
Record's nice, but we just got the win, and that's all that really counts, I think.
But yeah, it sounds like a cliche, but records, no records, we just all really wanted to win, To see how the boys team did this year and got to that stage, that's what I wanted.
Quarterfinal.
Yeah.
When we came around that corner and all those hands were there, it was like crazy.
The whole gym was packed full of our fans, so stressful for sure, because we needed to win that game to go on state.
This team was a little different. The 2022 team, we wanted to go down there, and we had teams that were oh so close.
There was a lot of expectation in the community that was just going to be a given, and personally that kind of scared me a little bit because we still had to beat a really good team to get where we wanted to go.
You're packing a bag, you're getting on a charter bus, we might be on our way, but in the back of your mind you're like, we might be coming back. But once they get on the floor, there's a job to be done.
But this right from the first possession was, wow, okay, that's what we're gonna have to play through and how you're gonna have to play it. I think they adjusted really quickly. And
it was a very even effort on the floor that night. Everyone kind of did what they do best.
I was doing the math, looking at our lead and figuring out how long possessions were taking. I think we got it now, but I didn't want to say anything or show that at all and jinx it. I was getting really superstitious through that run.
Yeah. Kelsey's dunk was like the cherry on top after that.
And it was that kind of a hard-fought game that when you get to the end of those in any game, everybody's exhausted. So when that, I don't know, Rudyard, it was a little weird with the minute or so.
Minute and a half.
They kind of checked in and bunched it up.
Yeah, when Kelsey started dribbling the ball out and they just gave up. I mean, that's when I was like, wow, we're actually going.
Pretty sure that was like the longest minute 30.
Yeah, sat there,
Me and
you're
Keegan were
shaking
just
each
sitting
other.
there shaking each other, waiting to run out on the court.
To see these guys going from exhausted on the floor to like, holy crap, we just won a quarterfinal and we're going downstate, just to see that change in emotion that was happening with them while they were so drained. That was really special. I don't think I'll ever forget that feeling. From that point on, it just became, I don't know, something out of a movie for us. Just so many things about it just didn't seem like it was even happening. I mean, you're just watching it from from a different spot.
It didn't really feel real at all.
It felt real after that.
After the game was fun in the locker room, we all got ready and we were waiting for Brad to get in the locker room.
I am about to go in the locker room with a bunch of crazy guys! Just total elation that we were moving on and going to where we were all dreaming about going down to Breslin was actually happening. Was, I don't know, the feeling is indescribable. It was just so awesome.
A bench warmer's tale. In '98, the last year of the barn, we did have 10 seniors. So there was more seniors that would have liked to have played. I was on the basketball team, yes, I did make the team. Just barely.
It was special to play in the barn. Towards the end, before we got the new school, there were starting to be a lot of different issues playing here as far as, the building itself.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was getting asbestos problems and roof leaking.
So the managers had to sit at half court and run out and wipe the floor and then run back off because it was that bad.
When the radiator fell from the roof in the hallway, yeah, it was probably time to head out.
It was time.
It was against Ontonagon, and we had quite a rivalry with Ontonagon. You got ready for those kind of games. It was like a tournament type atmosphere.
We knew that it was going to be a big event because they had called the school and said, it advanced ticket sales and the whole 9 yards. So, but we didn't really realize what it was going to be like till we turned the corner and there were cars everywhere. And this was, half an hour or more before the JV game. So it was like, well, boys, I hope you're ready for this.
We had alumni from all those big teams here and had their photos taken with their championship and runner-up banners that year. So they were all in the house for that game.
We actually took down the banners from up here from the 73 and 74 teams, and the boys teams did the same for their teams. It was kind of an emotional time. That was the last game in the barn.
And they jumped on us big time.
You bring Ontonagon into the gym, and especially back then when you can't fit a lot of people here and the stage was rocking, that was a pretty unique atmosphere.
You know, it would have been very difficult, you know, for us to win that game. And I think the setting made it even more difficult. It was like an event as much as it was a basketball game.
If people would be in the hallway, they'd be standing outside the door. So-and-so got a basket, so-and-so got a basket. They'd pass it down, you know.
On the T-shirts that they handed out that day, it was they had the scoreboard, and the visitor side said 19, and the home side said 98. Well, it was close. And it felt that way sometimes, you know. It was a public hanging and we were the hangee.
We were winning handily, but at that last minute, in those last seconds, down on this end, we did let Ontonagon kind of get one, and the switch just kind of went on, you know, to get that ball out of the net and get it down the floor for one last shot. I had no choice but to put up the last one, and luckily it went in. It didn't occur to me that I had made the last shot in regulation, but over the years, I've certainly been reminded of it.
So, it was a good game, but we won. And that was a good way to leave this gym, with a win. And it was kind of sad. I put a lot of years in here.
It was certainly a bittersweet night. I love this place.
And it was definitely more bitter than sweet that we were closing the barn, you know. If everybody would have had their way, we would have been renovating this building, not building a new one.
We didn't have the nicest school by any means, structurally or whatever, but you know, it's still our school.
It's the memories you all made, you know, and it's like that's sometimes the hardest thing is, you know, when you look back at your memories and then you see when things are changing, it's like, oh, I'm not ready for the change.
Emotional sometimes. A lot of great memories. A lot of great memories here. A lot of friends. A lot of friends that we had that we don't have anymore. We're all getting older. But this place was home. It was home. There was so much more than just basketball that went on here. There were band concerts, prom, homecomings, everything happened here. So, pretty special place.
Everyone was really proud of it. Just so many good memories happened in this building.
It's like a little time capsule. It really is to come in here. So I'm glad it's still standing here.
You know, this was a place where kids got together and got some shots up at least. And I think it's good that they can access the history of it even more than just access a gym. I think it's only going to help us in the future. I don't know, maybe 20 years from now this will actually be a historical stop in Michigan. Certainly a part of sports history in the UP.